the critical errors at the end of the Packers game. Things happen fast. I'm trying my best after the game to assign blame, but then you sleep on it, you think about it, and you realize with football, it's always like 3 or 4 or 5 things. It's not like baseball where it's one pitch, one hit, one play, which is why I like football. So we all identified not taking enough time off the clock. That was where things got weird. So let's try to be as specific as possible. How could the 49ers have shaved 5, 6, 8, 10 seconds off of this clock before Aaron Rodgers touched the ball? I think it started with
Yeah, I mean, it's
with
been
the final
tweeted out a
play on
few
offense.
times. I'm sure
What's that?
everybody's seen it, but they had 12 seconds on the play clock when they snapped it. Once they were lined up, to me, that was a no-brainer. That's a Kyle Shanahan thing. Like, you got to tell your quarterback, snap the ball with 3 seconds, because if he gives up those 9 seconds and Juszczyk still scores, I mean, you feel better with Aaron Rodgers 28 seconds and no timeouts
Yeah,
than you
or
do
even
Aaron Rodgers with
7
37
seconds.
seconds.
Even
Yeah,
like you could tell him slap it at 7 seconds, whatever. But that's 5 seconds that you just shaved off. And I mean, they got that field goal off with 1 second left, I think.
yeah. And
That
I do want to say, like, were there critical errors? Absolutely. But to me, I cannot reiterate this enough. This is an all-time quarterback. The first throw to Adams against quarters. Can anybody else make that throw? How many guys
No, it
make
was
that
a
throw
very
in the
no.
league?
It's good. It's good. Hold on, but let's go systematically here. Hold on. Let's not forgive them for their critical
My
errors
bad,
before
my
we
bad.
identify the critical errors. But we will. We'll put it in the proper context. It's Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. This is what they do. But first off, snapping it at 12 had nothing to do with Rodgers and
No,
Adams.
no,
That
that's
was
a that's a Kyle
that's a
Shanahan
clock
mistake.
management
Yeah,
issue with I would have to say Jimmy and Kyle. Okay, put them aside. Now we go to special teams. Someone brought this up earlier, and I had this epiphany too. The Niners Robbie Gould probably could have kicked the ball in such a way that forced the Packers to field it. And once you field it, the clock starts running, and that maybe you can shave off 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. And again, how you could do that is a low power line drive kick. There's no one standing in front of the kicker because you could hit that guy and get the ball back. Low line drive kick lands around the 30. They jump on it. Maybe they run a few yards. Basically, they probably get the ball at the same spot with 5 seconds. It's
mhm.
another way to shave a few seconds off the clock. I'm glad that someone else thought of the same thing. It's a creative idea. I feel like it's something you used to see back in the day. You don't really see things like
No,
that.
yeah. I think kicking
Yeah.
the ball through the end zone at that point was like, okay, just yeah.
Yeah.
They
Go,
want a
why?
touchback in
You
that
want them
situation
to feel
because
that.
things can
Yeah.
go wrong
A
in
kick.
that case, or even
Yeah.
lobbing it up and forcing the guy to return.
The reason I went with this over that is theoretically they could give a fair catch.
Yeah,
But if it's at the 4-yard line, they're not going to do a fair catch. Anyway, there were ways that they could have shaved some seconds off on the special team. So that's another one. And then finally, the defense.
and
The defense.
And I do want to touch on one more thing.
Okay.
Somebody brought it up in the comments. They had 3 timeouts and they wasted them. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan kept those timeouts for next game because they carry over. They could
They
have
do.
slowed things
They roll
down.
over.
Once
They roll
once
over.
they converted that third down to Debo Samuel, which by the way, I thought that was Jimmy Garoppolo's best throw of the game, and it was a
Yeah.
hell of a catch on Jair Alexander by Debo Samuel. Once they converted that, to me, I thought then they had the opportunity to kind of slow things down,
Yeah.
take a deep breath, formulate a plan on how they want to attack this Packers defense and go about it that way. And I think I can't blame the players for going too fast because there's an adrenaline rush, there's a push
Right.
of momentum, and Garoppolo did a real good job getting on time and on schedule to his check down, as Shanahan mentioned after the game, which was Juszczyk. And Juszczyk is a good catch, and it's a real good effort to get into the end zone. Like, can't blame them. But I don't think Shanahan had an idea because he said, "Oh, you're always thinking about it." Well, you have to think about it extra with Aaron Rodgers or
Right.
Patrick Mahomes. There's a reason John Harbaugh is going for the ball, going for it on 4th and 1 from his own 37 or 4th and 2, because you know
Right.
that guy only needs 15 seconds to beat you.
Okay, so let's talk about the defense now, because I came down hard on D'Amico last night, and I feel like if you are going to come down hard on someone, you got to be really specific, saying what they did and what they should have done differently. So basically, there were 2 completions on the final drive. The first one was a longish one over the middle to Adams. The second one was a shortish one over the middle to Adams. The first one was a 4-man rush with a standard cover 4 quarters coverage. That's 4 deep, 3-man underneath. That's fair. I mean, it took a very good throw. Like Fred Warner's fingers were like an inch away from touching the ball. It was tough, but I'm saying, sorry, D'Amico, to second guess you, but I think the best call in that situation, knowing they're not going to run, is two deep safeties, man underneath, not zone. Because I don't want Devontae Adams getting a free release at the line of scrimmage. I don't want him just prancing through my defense and then trying to make a play at the catch point. I want a guy in his face at the line of scrimmage to slow him up. And then I want a guy trailing him everywhere with inside leverage to make the in-breaking stuff difficult. And with two safeties over the top, I think that's always the best way to defend Aaron Rodgers if you don't have to worry about the run. That's always the best way to defend Aaron Rodgers. So I just disagreed with that one call there. But that's
No,
only half.
I mean, it's fair. Two men is a very standard call for that
Very standard.
situation.
Yeah.
It's but we've also seen situations where, I mean, people are trying to play two men against Derek Carr and his Raiders at the end of games the last 3 weeks. And Derek Carr has just been ripping up two men with not the greatest receivers. So to be fair, I do think that, it was kind of a situation where if Rodgers to me is just the kind of player where at times there just might not be a right call, because they could have gone two men and Adams might still have gotten open on an in-breaking route somehow because he's Devontae Adams.
No, of course, I'm not saying
that's
like, if you call two man, then that's 100% possibility.
Right.
I'm just saying, I think you would have to say that's a better call in that situation. And then finally on the second completion, I think the call was right, is what I wanted to say. In retrospect, we're like, what happened? Well, when I filmed it from the press box and I'm watching it, it looks like a bracket double coverage on Adams. It's a 3-by-1 with Adams on the left and three guys on the right. And everyone on that side, covering that side, is in two deep man under technique. I mean, there's inside leverage. That's what they're playing. On the backside, you have Adams. Of course you want to double Adams, right? That's the right call. And so you have Lenore playing outside leverage, taking away the comebacks, the outs. And I think what they had was Dante Johnson at free safety. It was a defense they don't use very much because it was third down, or I don't know if it was third down, but they had Ward in coverage. So at the line of scrimmage, Tart and Johnson deep. And I think it was a bracket of Lenore and Johnson on Adams, and Johnson was just not in the area code. I don't know what happened on that, but I think Johnson was the one who messed up. I could be wrong. See what Shanahan says.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
I think it was the right call.
Get to see it. I didn't get to see it.
It was the right call.
They also didn't have a replay, like the replay of the previous play. You can see clearly they're in quarters, and he just ripped an incredible ball. But I mean, it's possible. I do agree. I do agree with it, and I do think there is a level of, at times, we just overanalyze when the 49ers lose, because for whatever reason, when the 49ers lose, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying fan base in general, it's immediately sky is falling. Fire this guy, fire this guy, fire this guy. And the reality is, like, for whatever reason, 49ers fans can't admit that other teams are good. Other teams have good players, and other teams have good players that can make good plays against them. And sometimes that just happens. Like, there's times, there's just nothing you can do. Like the Jimmy Garoppolo pick, backside corner in quarters, running to the far hash and making a play on the ball. Well, that's why Jair Alexander's an all-pro. So why Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. These things to me are the things that I'm not saying you, again, because it's your job to talk about it. And
I'm quality control, and it's my job to make sure these things don't happen again.
Right.
I'm just being, I don't know. I'm just doing my job.